You know, I was really having a difficult time trying to figure out how I was going to approach the Ferguson Gaethje fight, right? Because what the fight means and what happened in the fight and all those kinds of things all kind of are colliding together, right? What this fight means to a lot of people right now is that Ferguson versus Khabib is never going to happen. Especially since Dana White said the winner of this fight is going to fight Khabib. So right now, it appears to me that Khabib has no choice. He's going to have to fight Gaethje. The other thing that it potentially means is that maybe Tony Ferguson is no longer in line for a title shot, which I personally think is bullshit because he's still a 26-3 fighter. I understand he's, or 26-4. He's not getting any younger. I get all that, but he's still a hell of a competitor. And it's amazing to me because Ferguson was praised when all this kind of stuff was going on because he had been training since November, as he pointed out. The fight got canceled. Gaethje, stood up and said, I'll take the damn fight. So both of those guys were getting praised at that moment, especially from Dana White. And then the fight got canceled anyways because he couldn't do it on Fight Island. And then Tony Ferguson went ahead and made weight for a fight anyway that he wasn't even going to be in. And then it got rescheduled for this past Saturday on May the 9th. And Ferguson shows up, takes it on the chin ever so literally. I don't know how the hell he stood up through a lot of that. Ends up with a TKO, breaks his orbital bone. And then, of course, Conor McGregor, throughout all this, supposedly, him and De La Hoya are getting ready to put something together. And I think they're just kind of following suit on the bandwagon of what Mike Tyson may be doing with this, quote, exhibition fight. And so all these things kind of start stirring the pot, and you go, what does this fight really mean when it boils down to it? I mean, that's the thing. And that's the thing that I've talked about with MMA, especially the UFC for a long time with this interim championship. And even Gaethje himself, I don't want that belt because I want the real thing. Right? I can appreciate that on so many levels because I have preached, I don't know for how long now, that there needs to be one champion in each division and to hell with these interim titles. Seriously. But see, though, that's kind of the thing. That's what that fight means. It's time to unify the belt finally. And the thing that I will always be confused about, and I have to get this out of the way very quickly, is that when Dana White knew that he could put a fight together, when he knew he was going to be able to do whether it was Fight Island or getting able to be able to do it on Saturday in Jacksonville, why in the hell did he not tell Ferguson and Khabib, just wait, we'll put another main event together, we'll find somebody who's ready? Because we all know that training regimens are incredibly different right now. Incredibly different right now. It's not the same. Over the last month and a half, it has not been the same being able to train. So we had no idea what this fight was going to potentially look like anyways. And like Ferguson said, I have been preparing for Khabib since November. Now, I'm not the type to give anybody excuses. I don't think Tony really makes excuses. I think he's disappointed in himself. I saw the Instagram post. He congratulated Gaethje, said he earned every bit of it. But if you look at it, November, December, January, February, all of a sudden everything changes in March. The fight's off, the fight's on, the fight is with somebody else. It's almost as if the UFC is responsible for destroying maybe the last opportunity for this fight to happen. But really, when you think about it, as much as we all want to see that fight, and Tony has deserved it for so long, I politicked for him and McGregor a long time ago. From the outset, it was deemed that these are two very similar fighters in Gaethje and Ferguson. And so we're going to get the Gaethje-Khabib fight now. So why not just decide that, you know what, basically we're going to be looking at the same thing. There's still obviously going to be entertainment value in it. It is Khabib. He is undefeated. He did really finally get a marquee name for himself after he destroyed Conor McGregor. We don't know what McGregor's going to do, when his next potential title fight will be. He took on Cerrone. He beats him. Okay, he's supposed to be coming back now. This is it. Maybe take on another fight. Maybe take on the loser of this Gaethje-Ferguson fight. The winner of that fight could be next in line to fight whoever wins between Khabib and Gaethje. See, and that's what's supposed to happen to me. And that's what not only makes MMA entertaining, but it gives something for the fans that we understand that there's a long-term goal here that we're shooting for. Okay, I've seen this fight happen. Now I can see this next fight happen. Blow it out of the water, man, and figure out a way to get those two fights on the same damn card. Can you imagine Ferguson McGregor on the same card as Khabib and Gaethje? You want to talk about blowing it out of the water? The ratings would be through the absolute roof, and it would create that necessary involvement in MMA from a fan standpoint, especially in that division, which is very top heavy. It really is. Look, I'm not taking anything away from Gaethje because he had a hell of a fight, and he deserves, I think, to be where he is right now. He's going to be the new number one contender. That's all there is to it. I don't necessarily agree with the full jump in it, but by the same token, he did beat the interim champion. I think that's the card that we need to see next. I think the best case scenario is that. Look, it's all about that big money fight now, isn't it? What would be bigger than having those two big money fights on the same card? Don't spread them out. Don't do a main event. Don't do any of that stuff, man. Create absolute chaos because that's already what's going on right now anyways, right? So you might as well just let the fur fly all the way. Look, Tony proved he can take a shot. I would have liked to have seen some more attempts, I think, with the ground game. Tony really didn't use his length, I don't think, to the best advantage that he could have. Gaethje did such a great job of moving around the octagon and, putting himself in situations where he can get inside of Ferguson, which is really hard to do. Anybody who's ever fought him knows that that's a dangerous place to go because of that great length and reach that he has all the way around with his legs and his arms. But the fact of the matter is simply this. If this is the fight that Dana White is going to make, then we have to see the next step coming as well. And we all kind of want to know who's going to be next, right? The old Goldberg thing. Who's next? I think that's the thing. That's the fight that needs to happen. This is where we need to go. This is the direction. Hopefully McGregor and De La Hoya are not serious about this thing. I don't think very many of us are interested in seeing that, especially after what happened, honestly, with Floyd Mayweather. McGregor's gone back and forth with his training and all this kind of stuff, and I think it's time to put that boxing thing to bed unless he's actually going to do it full time, which I don't think he's got enough left in him in terms of a long career to have that. I think MMA is the way to go. I think the big money for all four of these guys is going to be through that deal, and I think it would be a hell of a fight card. You get, an all belts card basically, put together, a women's title in there, put together a heavyweight bout in there, and I think that you would have maybe one of the best cards of all time in MMA history. I mean, aren't they doing that online thing where you can get an opportunity to meet some of these people and hang out with Halle Berry? Can you imagine timing it with that? I mean, it would just be explosive. It would be explosive, and that would garner more interest than anything, especially with, the NFL putting out a schedule. But let's be honest, it's still very topsy-turvy. And as I've said 100 times already, we don't know what the NFL season is going to look like. And we may have a better idea of what the MMA fights will look like because guys will still have to train in their homes. They'll still, bring somebody in to do something, So my 2 cents on that. I'm Drew Duncan, and as always, don't you dare touch that dial.